Republicans still trying to find a new speaker as we speak of the House. Now they're again sending the debt ceiling to the deadline, and they're getting accused of politicizing Benghazi by dragging Hillary Clinton before Congress again on the subject. Is the right wing of the party damaging the GOP brand? Oh yeah, with an election around the corner. Then Joe Biden still has not made up his mind. We thought by tonight here we'd have an idea, but if nothing else, he sure is acting like a guy who wants to run. We're going to tell you what he's doing that's got people talking. And the head of the CIA has been hacked, not by the Chinese, not by the Russians, but by a teenage kid who likes to smoke pot. We're going to tell you about, we're going to talk to a cyber expert, about how this possibly could happen to America's top spy master. Good evening. Welcome to RFL. I'm Richard French. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. And we're going to start with the Republican Party struggling to find its identity. Now, Donald Trump continuing to lead in the pack. New numbers are out here that he only showing widening his lead. And yes, Ben Carson is in second place. Two very anti-establishment guys beating the establishment candidates. And Jeb Bush, you would figure the ultimate establishment guy, the guy with the blessing of the party leaders, the one with the biggest war chest, the one with the most name recognition, all that. He's plunged the single digits in, get this, his home state of Florida, where he was once governor. Now, the battle between the establishment and the right wing, it's also playing out not just in the campaign trail, but on Capitol Hill. GOP still struggling to find a new Speaker of the House. Paul Ryan, he's close to deciding whether he even wants the job and if it's worth the headache to him. Now, we've told you how some of the right wing say that even Paul Ryan is too far left for them. And let's not forget about the debt ceiling fight. I know we all thought we dodged that bullet last year, never to hear from it again, but once again, the likes of the Freedom Caucus, they're sending it to the wire as they try to block the idea of raising it, and then you know what happens after that. It caused a manufacturer crisis seemingly nowadays every year or two. And speaking of the Freedom Caucus, this poll tells you all you need to know about the GOP. 39% of Republicans say they have too little power, and only a quarter say too much. So 2 in 5 of Republicans like to say that the Freedom Caucus, they want these guys to have more juice than they already do. So as we head into the hyper-politicized Benghazi hearing that will feature Hillary Clinton just this Thursday, we are looking at the GOP brand and whether it's being damaged by all that is going on, or if, as it says, they're giving the people what they want. Let's bring in our panel right now. Jeannie Zaino, professor of political science at Iona College and a professor of campaign management at NYU. Busy lady. Dominic Carter, political journalist and author, and a man who will never give a prediction. And Andrew Whitman, our senior political correspondent, who I make no jokes because he was on a story that we'll bring you later on today affecting the great county of Rockland. All right, so let's get to it. Jeannie, you followed all these kind of polls, but that last number, I figured you got 30 guys, this Freedom Caucus, the remnants of the wave that was the Tea Party wave a few years ago, professional troublemakers who went to Washington to basically shut Washington down, so to speak. I figured they were just the lunatic fringe who have safe seats, but certainly don't speak for the party. But at a national poll, 2 in 5 Republicans say, we want more of these guys, not less of them. What does that have to say about next year's election, about what happens Thursday at the Benghazi hearings, what's going to happen with issues like immigration reform, what's going to happen with going over the fiscal cliff with the debt limit? Are we looking about not just more of the same, but even doubling down on it?
You know, I think you look at 2 out of 5 Republicans on the ground who say, yeah, these people are ready, willing, and able to fight the quote-unquote system. And that's what we're seeing in the presidential election, and that's what we're seeing in Congress. These are people who feel that the federal government, and even the state governments, but the federal government in particular, has grown too big and is thwarting what the people on the ground want. And they want to stand up and say, we're not going to take it anymore. And so we are seeing that throughout every facet of the Republican Party, whether you're looking at what's happening in Congress with the Speaker's vote, whether you're looking at what's happening in Congress with the debt ceiling issue, or whether you're looking on the Republican campaign trail. Even in smaller issues, like you look at the Staten Island DA's race to get it closer to home, you're seeing that kind of fight there. people are very frustrated with the system, and they want somebody to go to Washington and do what they said they're going to do.
Everything you say is right.
It's a small percentage.
I get it. I get this. But
these are people who feel strongly about
now
that.
Now put it in the prism of history, Dom. Everything that Jean said, I think is 100% right.
Thank you,
But
Richard.
usually what happens is you get that protest vote that we saw a few years back when the Tea Party wave came in. And then the same people who put them in, or the general, will say, okay, let's see how they do. By every accounting, and just ask John Boehner, forget about what Democrats have to think here, they have proven to be not just ungovernable, but they've made situations worse. They've taken us off financial cliffs.
Defined by who? Made it worse, defined by who?
Well,
that's the
by
question.
By any party. Okay,
no, because they're delivering for their districts.
How are they delivering?
Richard,
No.
I'm trying to tell you, they have a mandate of cut. Cut those states like New York, where they're wasting all of our dollars on those social programs. This is what they go to office on, and in their districts, they're almost heroes. So that poll number doesn't surprise me at all, because it's a mandate of cut. What Republican in general is going to side with more government, bigger government?
But look at wave elections, Andrew. Usually what happens, obviously there's a lot of parts to it. Who's in the top of the ticket? Is it an off year? Is it a general? I get all that. But the whole argument Republicans made to everybody was, all right, we won this, okay? We came into the Tea Party wave here. We're going to lose Congress like we've lost in the past. Look at Newt and all the rest when they've overplayed their hands, because we can't show people that if you give us the keys to the car, we can run it, that we can govern if given the responsibility. There ain't anybody who's going to say that Washington has worked better for anyone in this country since the caucus has come in. Let's not even say it's their fault. I'm making a different point. Where is any evidence to even the people who said throw the bums out that this way is working any better?
2 points. One, the group that supports this Freedom Caucus, which I was surprised by how big that number was, that it was nearly 40%, because it's only 40 members of Congress. Their mission isn't to try to make government work. Their mission is to break government. Their mission is to hold true to their ideology. That's the way they're grading each of their members or their representatives in Congress.
Wait. I get it, Andrew, but you didn't answer my point. I get that there are 30 to 40 districts, okay, in this country that feel this way. But at the end of the day, the Republicans, with Democrats completely out of the picture, they picked a guy like Boehner. They'd like a guy like Ryan to run it. And they're being told by this fringe, which is 40 districts, that somehow that's 40% of the base that wants more of it. Mm-hmm. And that's the point that I'm having a trouble with. Take politics out of it. Who thinks this way's working? The public always says they want people to work together.
Because nobody is interested in governance on that side of the Republican Party. Look, the Republican Party is, for all intents and purposes, two different parties right now. There's the institutionalist party, the Boehners of the world, who actually want to see government get done, realize you have to take tough votes, and you don't get everything that you want. And there's a growing portion of the Republican base that says, enough of that. We want ideological purity. We want people who are going to hold up to this litmus test. We don't care if you shut the government down. We don't care if the government becomes ineffective as a result of it. And right now, that side is winning the fight for the heart and soul of the Republican Party, because all of the institutionalists are looking at the problems that they've had in primary elections, and they're saying, if I don't stick with these guys, if I don't stick with the Freedom Caucus, they're going to primary me from my right, and I'm going to be out of a job.
And can I say, we saw that with Eric Cantor. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's exactly what. Mm-hmm. But also, can I say, and don't shoot me, but in defense of some of these members of the Freedom Caucus, don't give me daggers, Richard, but you look at the deficit as an example. Year after year after year, Congress votes to raise the debt ceiling, and everybody says that's what they should do. But if you're a voter at home and you say in the last 20 years the deficit has gone from X to Y, it has quadrupled, and every year we vote for this raise in the debt ceiling without any prospect
well, actually,
of
that's
down
not true.
the deficit.
But actually, that's not true.
But that is
no,
true.
but it's not.
But it is.
Let me try a few facts. In Clinton, and this is not a Clinton rally, if you actually go back to when Bill Clinton was president.
But go back to George W. Bush when when the Tea Party started.
Okay, but you got to look what happened before that. Okay. Because you had 8 years of Bush, you had the collapse in 2008, okay? The deficit was actually going down before George W. came in, okay? And I'm not looking to relitigate the Bush years and the Clinton years. My point is...
But the Tea Party didn't come to fruition until the Bush years. So you start in the Bush years...
I think you're proving my point.
But yes, but you start in the Bush years and you look, I'm saying from the perspective of the average Tea Party voter who says, or Freedom Caucus voter who says, look I'm voting for somebody to go to the House and say enough is enough. You don't vote for the debt ceiling unless we get some cuts in return. That never happens.
But by the way, discretionary spending has actually gone down in recent years.
But the debt has gone
okay, but
up.
I'm
Say
sorry,
the word, Richard.
but I'm sorry.
Up.
Do these same people want to end complete military involvement in the Middle East?
But that's not how voters...
Don't let facts get in the way.
No, but that's not how voters think. I'm saying from the average voter. You send somebody there to deal with this issue,
you
and
follow
it's not
polls
being
more
dealt
than all of
with.
us put together, Jeannie. Explain this to me. Every single poll I've ever seen is the respondents overwhelmingly want to see Congress work together. They want to see people. They hate the partisanship of Washington, and they want to see the parties work together to get stuff done. Every poll I've ever seen, I see that, okay? So if that's the sentiment from the public, how are 40 districts or guys that are getting sent there whose objective is to try and throw a bomb into the White House or into the Congress, right, to ruin the place proverbially, that somehow that's speaking to the public want?
Because everybody wants Congress to work together when they're doing what they want. And when they're doing what they don't want them to work together.
It's the same thing that says that Congress has an 11% approval rating, but 95% of Congress people get reelected.
Okay, so
and by the way, and I'm sorry, but you've got 50+% of Republican voters supporting either Fiorina, Carson, or Trump in the latest poll. It's the same schism that we're seeing in the Congress right now.
All right, hold on. So we know the demographics. We know how the map works in the country. It's getting less white, right? And you're getting more people from different places and darker shades of hue, okay? By Republicans' estimation, at the last go-round, right, when they lost to Obama the first time, let alone the second time, to win nationally, they know they have to appeal to a broader base. How many times do we hear that from the RNC chairman and everybody else? Okay. Tell me, Don, how this way is going to work for him, because we got this thing called the presidential election next year. You got kooks like Trump and all the rest, what you called the clown car, I think, last year or whatever.
Freak show.
Freak show. Okay. So if you believe you got to win to do something about it, right? How is this way working, and when do we see the reverse, which history has always shown somebody's going to overplay their hand? It happened, you know, when Barry Goldwater did it. You saw what happened to the Republican Party then. You saw it with Gingrich when he overplayed his hand by the shutting down the government. When does that happen this time, where the adults at the table say, either we're going to lose the race here, but we're going to fight our own fight internally, or they're going to get beaten at the ballot box? Is it next year?
The question that you just, I know you want specifics. The question the question that you just raised, Richard, is exactly what's happening with the battle for Speaker. What you just raised. Because the bottom line is, if you're in a district from Oklahoma, right, and the term that they use when it comes to Republican National Party, when it comes to independent voters, African Americans, Latino, we are a big tent party. We hear that every 4 years, and then it goes behind the closed door, and then you have independent districts where the point I'm trying to get the table to understand, I think everyone understands it, is that in places like Oklahoma, all they care about, I'm just using this as an example, you're going to Washington to cut. We're going to judge your success on how much you cut. Not whether or not the government works, what did you cut out the budget? And again, Richard, cut those social programs from those big liberal states like New York. That's the bottom line. That's what they want to hear.
And in terms of the future of the party, sorry, I didn't know if you're talking.
I thought you're aiming something at me,
in terms of the future of the party, there's nobody named Johnny Republican who's shaping the future of the party. Reince Priebus can't go into create a candidate mix and come up with exactly the right candidate that appeals to everybody and still holds the Big Tent together. It's individuals who are running for individual offices, and now, that's why this thing is going off the rails. I know people watch
this program from outside our area. Just think about this. Forget about this talking head at the desk saying this. Ronald Reagan could not get through a Republican primary, could not get elected national dog catcher in today's party. I don't see how this works, and if you think that Washington has to work for we the people, this isn't working. I'm just waiting for somebody to sit up at the table and say enough. Boehner said, somebody else take this. I don't need this in my life anymore. And I think it should say something to somebody. When Paul Ryan who, if you want to talk about Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security, he's as right as you get. If he doesn't even want the gig because they call him a lefty, that's where we are. Now, this week, just so you know, we're efforting. We're going to hopefully talk to Peter King. We're also going to hopefully talk to Chris Gibson, two area Republicans, I think, who make a lot of sense and a lot of stuff to talk about their grand old party and whether or not guys like them still have a seat at the table. Okay, want to get you involved in our conversation? Head over to Facebook and Twitter and sound off on our question today. Do you think, and we'll get into this as a little bit of a question later on in the program, that Mike Bloomberg, do you think he could be elected as president? There's a lot of rumors going on that he's considering it, given where Donald Trump has emerged. We'll talk about that. And also up next, Joe Biden still hasn't made up the mind whether or not he's getting into this thing or not. And Jim Webb, though, he said, enough already for me. I'm out. Maybe I'll run as a third party. Speaking of third party, the guy on the screen, he's got the money. He certainly got the ambition. If he ran, did he have a fighting shot? We'll talk about that straight ahead.